All right, let's dive right in. We're about to explore one of the most absolutely incredible processes happening inside your body, how your bones actually grow. It's this amazing journey that transforms a soft, flexible little blueprint into the powerful skeleton that supports you your entire life.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about that? How on earth does your body build this massive, rigid framework from something so small and soft? It honestly seems like it should be magic, but it's not. It's just pure, incredibly elegant biology.
And that's really the perfect way to think about it. It's not magic at all. It's more like a perfectly orchestrated construction project. One with detailed blueprints, highly specialized workers, and a building schedule that takes years to complete. And like any great project, it has to start with a plan.
So, Section 1, a skeleton's blueprint. You can't just start building something this complex. You need a plan. And for our skeleton, that plan gets laid down long before any hard bone ever shows up.
It turns out your body has two main ways it builds bone. There's one method it uses for flat bones, like the ones in your skull, but for the long bones, the ones in your arms and legs, it uses a much more intricate process. And that's the one we're going to follow today, endochondral ossification.
So what in the world is that? Well, the most crucial thing to understand is this. Your long bones don't start out as bone. Nope. They start as a perfect, miniature model of the final product made entirely of a flexible material called hyaline cartilage. It's not bone yet, it's just the template, the blueprint that gets slowly replaced by actual bone tissue over time.
All right, Section 2, the first pour of bone. We've got our cartilage blueprint in place. Now it's time for the construction crew to show up and start laying the foundation. This is where the magic really begins, where that cartilage starts its transformation into real, solid bone.
The whole process kicks off right in the middle of the bone's shaft. First, a supportive little bone collar forms around the cartilage model, kind of like scaffolding. Then, bam! Blood vessels invade the center, bringing in the bone-building cells, the osteoblasts. This ignites what's called the primary ossification center, the very first place bone is made. But here's the wild part. Almost as soon as it's built, it starts getting hollowed out.
And this is where we meet another key player, the osteoclast. If osteoblasts are the builders, these guys are the demolition crew. They immediately get to work carving out that hollow medullary cavity right on the inside. This is just brilliant engineering because it makes the bone incredibly strong but also lightweight, and it creates that vital space for bone marrow.
Section 3, the engine of length. So the center of the bone is established, but that only builds the shaft. How do our bones actually get longer? Well, for that, the construction site has to expand out to the very ends of the bone.
Shortly after we're born, that same process we just saw in the middle fires up again, but this time at both ends of the bone. These new sites are called the secondary ossification centers. They fill the ends of the bone with spongy bone, but, and this is absolutely crucial, they leave a thin layer of cartilage sandwiched right in between.
And that critical layer of cartilage is the engine of all our growth and height. It's the epiphyseal plate, but you've probably heard it called the growth plate. This little disc is where all the action happens. It's constantly creating new cartilage on one side, which then gets turned into bone on the other side, and this literally pushes the ends of the bone apart.
If you zoom way in, the growth plate works like a tiny assembly line with 4 different zones. In the proliferation zone, cartilage cells are just multiplying like crazy, stacking up like a roll of coins. As this stack gets pushed down the assembly line, the cells get bigger, then they die off, and the cartilage they leave behind is replaced by solid bone. It's this continuous process that keeps adding length to the bone.
Okay, Section 4, building wider and stronger. Now, getting taller is fantastic, but a long, skinny bone wouldn't be very strong, would it? So the construction project has to account for width and strength, too.
And this is just common sense, right? As you get taller and heavier, your bones need to get wider to support all that extra weight and stress. So, while the growth plates are busy pushing the ends apart, a completely different process is happening on the bone's outer surface to add thickness.
This is called appositional growth, and it's really this beautiful balancing act. The builders, the osteoblasts, add new layers of bone to the outside surface, think of it like adding rings to a tree. At the exact same time, the demolition crew, the osteoclasts, are on the inside, widening that hollow cavity. This keeps the bone from becoming a solid, super heavy rod. So just to recap, getting longer happens inside the bone at those growth plates. At the very same time, getting wider is happening on the outside surface. It's two different mechanisms in two different locations working in perfect harmony to build a bone that's just the right shape and size.
Okay, Section 5, Fuel for the Framework. Obviously, a massive, decades-long construction project like this doesn't just run on its own. It needs fuel, and it needs managers telling the workers what to do and when to do it.
And it really comes down to three main things. First, you've got hormones, like growth hormone and, later, sex hormones. They act as the project foreman, directing the pace of growth, especially during puberty. Then you need nutrition. You can't build a house without materials, right? That's your calcium, your protein, and your vitamins. And finally, you have mechanical stress from things like exercise. Running and jumping basically tells your bones, hey, we need to get stronger right here. It's a classic use-it-or-lose-it system.
But like all construction projects, this phase of rapid expansion has to come to an end. Eventually, the scaffolding comes down and the site closes for business.
As we move through our late teens, hormonal signals in the body change. Production at those cartilage factories in the growth plate starts to slow down, but the bone formation behind it catches up, so the plate gets thinner and thinner until it's completely replaced by bone. All that's left is a faint scar called the epiphyseal line, and at that point, that's it. Growing taller is officially off the table.
So, the main construction is finally complete. You've reached your adult height. But here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Your bones are never truly finished. They are living tissues, constantly being maintained, repaired, and remodeled every single day of your life. So the question isn't just how they grow, but what exactly is this living framework doing to support you for a lifetime? Well, that's a story for another time.